Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/OhNoConsequences. As per usual, I'll be reading you the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Cross-posted from r/bestof. The collector of this best of post was Pen and Paper 30, and their tagline is, "Give me my trash can head and call me a trash panda." The original OP is Particular Visual 14, posted July 16th, 2021 on r/Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for being surly, rude, and mean at a wedding and then leaving early? I was asked to be a member of the wedding party. Despite this, I was the only person not in the wedding party, but also at the ceremony, who wasn't allowed to have a +1. This was an outdoor wedding with unlimited seating, and these people don't give a shit about COVID, so it wasn't about that. I was told it was because my relationship wasn't serious enough, despite us being together for a year, that only engaged or married couples were invited, and that they didn't want some random guy in their wedding pictures who I might not even be with later in the future. They don't want to have to look at some random guy in their pictures, even though he wouldn't have been in any of the posed pictures at all, maybe just in the background of crowd shots. There have been no conflicts between them and my boyfriend, and he's a nice and mild-mannered guy who gets along with everyone, so I don't think it was about him personally. I get to the ceremony and find out that literally everyone else has a +1, not just married couples, but there are couples there who have been dating for less time than me. This is when I started feeling surly. I smiled and played my part during the ceremony, but inside I was very surly and angry. We then got to the reception, which had way more people than the ceremony. This is where all the more distant friends were invited. And everyone there had a +1. I was literally placed at a table as the one single person, and everyone else at that table was a couple. Some at the table were other members of the wedding party, but others were random distant acquaintances. People started asking me where my boyfriend was, and I said I was told he wasn't invited. They asked why, and I said I had no idea why. This is when I started letting my surliness show, and started acting rude and mean, because I was humiliated. And then, I was brought into conversation with the couple's male friend Dean. I was previously told that Dean— oh my god. Oh god, it's gonna be one of these. And then, I was brought into conversation with the couple's male friend Dean. I was previously told that Dean has a crush on me, and I made it clear I wouldn't be interested even if I was single. Even after that, he kept trying to message me, and I ignored him. But now the people who brought me into conversation with Dean were standing around staring at us and giggling behind their hands, like they thought they were Cupid matchmakers. Dean was absolutely a participant in this. I was meaner to Dean than I've ever been to anyone in my entire life. I was as fully rude as I've ever wanted to be when being the target of someone else's romantic interest unwantedly. It's true, I didn't really know if I was being set up, but I was already furious before that happened. Everyone was silent and awkward. I went back and finished my meal, and as soon as I was done, I picked up my purse and left and went straight to my boyfriend's house, skipping most of the reception, cake cutting, speeches, and everything. I'm now being told by the couple that they're hurt and confused why I left so early. I haven't replied. In the comments, OP provided this, texting the bride and groom. Alright, after making this post, I emailed them back, and I started small, just to see what they would say. All I said to start it off was, quote, I was uncomfortable because I was the only one without a +1 after being told nobody but engaged or married couples would have them. Multiple people at the reception started repeatedly asking me where boyfriend was, and I was getting more and more humiliated, especially since I was seated with colleague and their Tinder boyfriends. It was humiliating to be the only one singled out, and I was extremely upset. Here is the reply I quickly got. Quote, we just meant no +1s for the ceremony. It was perfectly fine for you to bring boyfriend to the reception, and that's what we assumed you were going to do. That's what we always planned for. The reception being much larger and looser. We never heard from you about bringing boyfriend to the reception, so we didn't plan for it. But it always would have been fine. This reply is some bullshit that was never, ever, ever, ever said to me at all or presented as an option. I would have actually been fine with that as a compromise. OP elaborates on Dean, and being rude. I didn't want to describe the conversation because people would probably think really badly of me if they saw how horrible I really acted. But fuck it. This was towards the end of the meal, and some people are still eating, and some people are just partying, standing and talking, circulating around the room. I was eating, and someone comes over to me and goes, "Hey, could you come over here for a second? Someone has a question for you." Already, I was suspicious because that was a scenario straight out of the second grade lunchroom. But fine, whatever. Maybe it has to do with the bridal party stuff. So I come over, and who is standing there? But Dan. Looking really smug, and a few other people are standing there, who are already giggling, so I already started feeling angry. Because again, this is reminding me of the second grade lunchroom scenario, and I'm already imagining how it's going to go. He actually started out with, "Hey, beautiful," and I went, "What do you want?" in an angry tone. I think he sensed that this wasn't going to go like what he had in his mind, but he continued what he obviously planned out. So he said, "I just wanted to ask you something." And I said, "What?" He then went, "There's something wrong with my phone. Can you help me fix it?" I said, "I don't know anything about phones. Sorry, I can't help you." And turned around to go back. And he went, No. What's wrong with my phone is that it doesn't have your number in it." And I just went off. Because I already made it clear I was not into whatever this was. And I already turned to leave. But he interrupted me leaving and kept going despite it all. I was furious because I was already angry. Plus he wasn't paying attention to how I felt or caring about it. So I felt like he deserved what I was going to give him. I raised my voice and said, "Dean, fuck off and leave me alone. No, you can't have my fucking number. No, I don't want to go out with you. I don't want to talk to you. I am not attracted to you. I don't want anything to do with you. You are not interesting or attractive to me at all. I want you to leave me the fuck alone." He was looking down during all of this and not at me, and I said, "I want you to look at me and agree you're going to leave me alone from now on. Yes or no?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Look at me and say yes." So he did. So I turned around and left him alone after that. I know I humiliated him and I did it on purpose. I hate to admit that, but it's true. Even though I raised my voice, it was loud in the room, so only the people standing nearby and one unrelated table nearby heard it. So, either two things happened. Either one, there was a genuine miscommunication between OP and the wedding couple, and she was allowed to bring her boyfriend to the ceremony, and then Dean saw that she was alone and thought he would make his move right then and there. Or, what I find to be the likely option, wedding couple was in on it, decided to essentially revoke the +1 to increase the chances of her being alone at the wedding, and for some reason, they thought that this would work because weddings are so romantic, and obviously, once she was alone and upset about not being able to bring her boyfriend, and then seeing Dean, they would just click, obviously. That's just how it works. And then after, turning the Hallmark movie off and deciding to then put their plan in motion, did the flaws begin to come out and publicly humiliate and embarrass Dean. I also get the impression from how OP reacted that Dean probably has a history of harassing OP to try and secure a date or a relationship with them, despite what I can only assume to be several no's. Honestly, after being told that, no, you can't bring your boyfriend of 1 year, only engaged couples and married couples can attend, and then seeing your colleagues with their Tinder dates, yeah, I'd also be prone to crash out too, and Dean was just the easiest target for all of OP's wrath. I would say poor guy, but it seemed that he was in on something at least, because everyone was, all gathering around and giggling and thinking that they were the Cupid matchmakers, but instead they were just Dean's tickets straight into humiliation hell. Cross posted from r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my husband to just deal with my mom? My husband and I had our first child 8 weeks ago, a beautiful baby girl. After she was born, I asked my mom to come stay with us for a couple of weeks to help with everything because I had a quite traumatic birth and we're new parents. After those couple of weeks, I realized how nice it was to have an extra person to help with daily household stuff or to give one of us a break if the baby wakes up during the night. So, I asked my mom to stay longer. I did this without talking to my husband about it and pretty much just told him about it after I already asked my mom to stay. He was kind of mad about it, but I told him I was still recovering and he's just going to need to deal with my mom being here longer. I have 12 weeks of maternity leave, but my husband only had 6, so he recently went back to work. When he comes home, he'll take over the baby duties, and he's great at giving her baths and getting her to sleep. It warms my heart to see how good he is with our baby girl. The problem, though, is that he shows me almost zero affection or attention. When I was pregnant, he would give me daily foot rubs and tell me how beautiful I am and how much he loves me. Now, I can barely get a good morning or a good night out of him. His excuse is that he's tired from work and pretty much being on solo baby duty after he gets home. He told me he has a finite amount of energy and can't pamper me the same way anymore. The other night, after the baby went to sleep, I asked him to give me a foot rub like he used to. He said he was exhausted and just wanted an hour to himself before he goes to sleep. He said I should ask my mom for a foot rub, but I said that it's not the same. He told me he never gets a break between work and the baby, so I'm just going to have to deal with being lower on his priority list right now. I feel like that was a low blow to use my own words against me like that. But it got me wondering if I was an asshole for making that decision unilaterally before. Am I the asshole here? So, you move your mom in without even consulting with your husband. Husband deals with it. Husband goes back to work, comes home, takes care of the baby, and then just wants an hour for himself before he goes to bed. Husband's not lacking on his responsibilities as a father. He's extremely involved. He's just exhausted. OP made an executive decision without even consulting with the husband on it, and husband's just been dealing with it, as you told him to. And now you're upset because after everything he has to do in the day, after doing this for probably multiple days at once, you're mad because he's not giving you a foot rub, and he would rather take some time to himself. But you didn't even realize that you were being an asshole previously until he used your exact words against you. I have to ask this because it's something that's itching at my mind here. What does the normal day look like? Because to me, it sounds like for a majority of the day, you and your mother, hopefully, are sharing baby responsibilities, unless mother is taking over entirely, which means that your day is entirely free. But then when husband gets home, by your own wording, it sounds like he solely takes over care for the baby, which tells me that you have ample time to relax and enjoy yourself. You have numerous opportunities for free time. Your husband doesn't. So yeah, you're definitely the asshole, and what you're dealing with right now is the consequence of you inviting your mother to live with you guys without even consulting your husband. Like, I feel weird siding against a mother who just gave birth, but that's kind of the position you've put me into. Cross-posted from r/advice. How do I get my, 35 male, stepdaughter, 14 female, to talk to me? I've been in my stepdaughter's life for 18 years. I love her dearly. Her dad has been missing in action, unfortunately, and is not a good person. So I'm the father figure in her life. She calls me dad and everything. I go to all her dance events and her clarinet stuff. Recently, my wife and I had a daughter. It's my first kid that is mine, and I love her dearly, and I love being a dad. I want 2 more, lol, but gotta convince the wifey. I had my friend over for dinner, and at dinner, they asked how he's having a newborn. I told him, amazing, that I never realized I could love something so much, that I love her more than anything in the world, even more than my wife, but it's close. I wasn't thinking, but everyone got quiet, and I realize why now. So, fast forward a few days later, my stepdaughter asked me if I love her. I was taken aback and said, of course. She brought up my comment at dinner and said that it made her feel like I loved my biological kid more than her. I told her the truth because I thought she was mature enough to handle it, but she didn't. I said I do love my biological child more than you, but I love her deeply. I told her that she would understand when she has her own kids, but there's just Something about seeing a child that's yours. She just got quiet and said she had to do homework, but I don't think she handled it well. She's been ignoring me and everything. She will passively talk to me, but I asked her if she wants to get food when I picked her up from practice today, and she said no. It's stuff like that. I just get one-word answers from her. User 3Lizards breaks it down pretty well as to what he did wrong. You lay out here how she thinks of you as dad, how you are her dad, how when she wants her dad, you are the one she wants. When she calls her dad, you are the one she calls. And you lay out how biology has not decided this girl's dad, because he did not feel the way about his biological baby that you feel, and that you have been her dad since she was 6 years old. And then you took the last 8 years out from under her feet by clarifying that you were never her dad because this baby is your first. She's realizing that she has never had and will never have a dad feel that way about her. She's realizing she was never your baby, but that you pretended all these things anyway. I'm not saying you have to love her the same way, but you shouldn't step into the role of dad if you're gonna be so callous and careless with what that means to a kid who didn't have one. Put your perspective aside and see this through her eyes. She was meant to gain a sister. She lost a parent instead. The words OP used, and continued to use, doubling down on them, were extremely destructive, and held a lot of weight and consequences to them that he didn't realize. And the way that he's being treated by his wife's daughter is the direct result of that. It's the result of him not choosing his words carefully, and instead hurting the girl that he once called his daughter. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think there's a way you can recover from this because you doubled down in a private conversation with her, practically spelling out the fact that you'll never love her the same way that you love a biological kid. And as that commenter pointed out, she lost a parent that day. Cross posted from r/advice. I, 28 male, accidentally laughed at my friend, 26 male, about his girlfriend, 29 female, cheating on him. What steps can we take to reconcile? Firstly, what happened was terrible, and she's horrible for that. It makes me so angry that she would do that to him. But I do remember last year when we were at the bar and he met her. Something felt off about her. I told him that privately, and told my wife as well when I got home. Now, one thing my wife will tell you, I have great intuition. Anytime I clock someone as off, surely enough, they show themselves. But when I told my friend, he disagreed and viewed her with rose-colored glasses. I suspected because she's hot. So now some time passes and my friend, Mike, texts myself and another one of his friend, Tim, that he needs to talk, so let's grab a drink. To give you an idea of our dynamic, Mike and I are really close, and so is Tim and Mike. But Tim and I are not close. So he confides in us that his girlfriend cheated on him, and it really hurt him. I felt bad because Mike is one of the nicest people you will ever meet. But in my mind, I was thinking I called it. Then here's the kicker. He said that his girlfriend made an excuse about being $1,300 short on rent. He was hesitant on giving her the money, but he did, and said they would work on budgeting. Get this. She didn't really need the money and took that money to send it to the dude she was messing with. When he told me that, I bust out laughing because that's crazy. I said, man, that's what I call redistributing the wealth right there. I get it, bad timing. Mike made an excuse to leave, and then Tim left. Mike ended up blocking me on everything. So I told my wife, and she agreed my timing was terrible. But my joke was funny. She still privately told me off, but texted my friend from her number to say he's overreacting. We have a great marriage. Privately we call each other out, but public we stick together. He finally unblocked me, but isn't ready to talk. I get my timing was terrible with the joke, but as far as the laugh, I can't control that. I think it was just knowing how even though I knew she would screw him over, I couldn't have predicted this. LOL. User WasteWorker6122 comments, 1. No one likes a know-it-all. What makes it worse is when the know-it-alls say, I told you so, which is what happened here. 2. You honestly think it's funny that your friend got scammed out of $1,300? That the only issue here is the timing of your funny joke? Sorry, but I just don't get the humor there. And neither does Mike, apparently. 3. You can't control your laugh? You mentioned being 28 years old, not 12, so I find that interesting. If you're lucky, Mike will forgive you. With time. How much time? Only Mike can determine that. You can't force it, and if you try, you'll only drive Mike further away from you. You've opened the channel of communication, he has unblocked you. So all you should do now is wait for Mike to contact you. You may also want to reflect on your behavior, specifically how you treat your friends. A bit of compassion and support towards Mike, who will be hurting from what has happened, would have had such a different outcome here. The OP responds, 1. I didn't tell him I told you so. I just thought about how I called it and saw it coming. But I didn't tell him I told you so. 2. The circumstances wasn't funny, but it was his delivery. This is honestly one of those situations that if you weren't there, it will be hard for you to understand why I laughed. The timing and everything was crazy. 3. C2. 4. Yeah, I will say I will give him some time and space. Hopefully after time passes, we can put this behind him. Behind him. I was trying to be supportive and compassionate for him, but he had left before I could. For now, I'm going to give him that space until he's ready to communicate. User MYisraelChai48 comments, my guy saying I called it is identical to I told you so. User at Tyrannosaurus Rex comments, I mean, in his defense, his wife said he was good with reading people, not words. Yeah, but guys, don't you understand? It was funny. The comedic timing of him talking about being scammed was funny. So that makes it okay. And you have to admit, I think it was just knowing how even though I knew she would screw him over, I couldn't have predicted this, LOL. I mean, seriously, guys, it's just funny, right? That's how you come across, dude. And I literally quoted you in that final line there because even though you're trying to reconcile and talk about how bad you feel for Mike, the fact that you're dropping LOLs about how funny the situation is and how you couldn't have predicted what happened tells an entirely different story than what you're trying to lead to in the comments. It really comes across that you don't feel bad for your friend here after what happened, that you're only saying that to save face. Because that little LOL as being the final sign-off of your post, after talking about how no one could have predicted what happened, speaks volumes, dude. And don't even get me started on the weird dynamic that you and your wife have. It is kind of messed up that your wife, will confront you in private, but then become your attack dog in public. It just makes me feel bad for Mike. Cross posted from r/Drew off my chest. My ex-wife predicted my future in painful details, and I can't sleep at night because of it. We are legally still married. We're both 45 and have been together for 20 years. She was the love of my life until I met my current girlfriend, and that's when I realized that I have been stagnating for years. My new girlfriend, 30, was happy and exciting. She was wild and drove me crazy. I finally remembered how it was to feel alive with her, and she understood me. Never complained and never nagged. Always positive. When my ex-wife found out, she laughed in my face and told me how disappointing I was. Leave your wife of 20-something for a 20-something? How original. I told her it wasn't her age. She laughed even harder. Let me guess, because she cares about her looks, because she's so positive and adventurous. Then, she said that when reality hits, don't come running back. When she stops blowing you in the most wild places because she knows that she doesn't have to now. When she realizes that she wants more and asks for more. When your answer and actions aren't good enough for her. When she stays in bed scrolling her phone all weekend because now she has you. She doesn't need to pretend to be so adventurous anymore. Remember that you haven't traded up. I didn't believe her and she laughed at that too. She said, remember how our story started? The love and respect we had, and look how it ended. How do you think this one that started by hurting the people closest to you will end? This was 9 months ago. Now, I haven't spoken with my girlfriend for 2 days. She moved in with me 3 months ago, and I have never been this miserable. The fights and nagging, the scrolling on her phone day and night with zero effort or energy for any adventure. The demands and small fights about small things. I know that moving in together can be emotional and unstable, but I feel that I have no feelings for this woman. I have nothing to say to her. I don't even like her. I just keep thinking of my wife and how she knew all this. I pretended that everything is great when I'm with people. I act like I'm still in love, but I'm dying inside. She predicted everything, and I miss and love her and think about her every single day. And because I'm not a good person, I told my girlfriend this. I don't know why I felt the need to tell my girlfriend this, maybe because she called my ex old and bitter. I told her that I will never love her like I do my ex. That took her down to earth real quick. I am sick of myself. User That's Simming comments, "Oh, I love this so much. If his ex-wife hadn't predicted it, he could have broken up and dated around. But exactly because she predicted it and he's an idiot trying to prove her wrong, he forces himself to stay in a situation he knows makes him miserable. Plenty of men marry witches and don't know until they scorn them. What a powerful curse she's cast upon him. And if my read on her is correct, she'd even be happy for him if he was happy with the new girlfriend, genuinely. So he's truly just poisoning his own well to spite his ex-wife. The ex-wife doesn't mind being wrong. She was wrong 20 years ago when she married him, believing he wasn't a boring stereotype. She'll be fine by herself." I do find it a little weird how many people can't distinguish, like, a temporary crush between actual love, because this guy here, he was just crushing on her, or he had that, like, honeymoon phase of the fling where his, like, brain and hormones were just off the charts, but the moment those chemicals were gone and the moment that he faced reality, he felt nothing for her. I don't know, I just find it interesting how many cheating scenarios are really just because one person gets a crush and they don't know how to distinguish between, like, a crush and actual genuine romance towards someone, and it leads towards, well, this kind of scenario here. And yeah, like literally in the post, the husband is admitting to doubling down on his misery because he doesn't want his ex-wife to be right. Or more of he doesn't want to give her the satisfaction that she was right, is what it seems to be. Cross-posted from r/relationship advice. My stepkids, 21 male and 16 female times 3, hate me, 42 female. We're now contemplating divorce. I've been with my husband for 5 years. My stepkids' hatred is of our own doing. We got together while he was still married to their mother, and his kids found out. We thought that over time, his kids would be more accepting, but they're not. Stepson, 21, hasn't spoken to his dad since he started university. In spite of having paid for his whole degree, his dad wasn't invited to his graduation. He found out from his brother when he walked the stage. Everyone was invited to attend except his dad. He's tried to contact his son, but he's been blocked on everything. It's killing my husband that his only son, let alone hasn't seen him, hasn't spoken to him 4 years despite residing in the same city. His triplet daughters, 16, hate my guts. They harbor so much hatred, and when they visit, they ice me out. They've asked darling husband if when they get married, should their husbands cheat on them and remarry the other women? Would he be thrilled and shake the hands with the homewrecker? When they come, I give them their space. I try to be as polite as possible, but they ignore me. I've been banned from all aspects of their life. I'm 100% certain that this has something to do with their mother, but she doesn't want anything to do with me. I get why, though. Their dad is afraid as they get older, they'll continue to pull away. He basically lost his son, and he's desperate to keep his daughters, and I fear he'll resent me for it. I get why they're so angry. What we did was unacceptable. He has tried to speak to their mother. She says she's not trying to ruin his relationship with his kids. She's encouraging them to have a relationship with him. But there's only so much she can do. We also have our daughter, 4. The girls ignore her as well. It breaks my heart that her older siblings want nothing to do with her because she came from me. Their words exactly. What we did was wrong and accept full responsibility. We've put them in therapy, but that doesn't help. We were naive to think that they would be accepting eventually. If anything, they've pulled away even more. Hubby cries almost every night. He misses his son so much and is fearful his daughters are going to follow his lead. I can't take their hatred anymore. They will punish us for the rest of our lives. I hate that I'll forever wear the title homewrecker or other woman. I've heard his daughters address me as such. We made a big mistake getting involved with each other and we're now paying the price. I wish we could just sit down with all his kids and apologize for our actions and find a way to heal their relationship. It's gotten so bad that we're considering divorce. Our marriage counselor had told us that their hatred is understandable and valid. Should he stay married to me, he'll most likely lose his kids. His son has shown he's willing to walk away from him, and his daughters will most likely follow suit. Given the direction we're heading, that's the probable outcome. I imagine my husband is at a crossroad and I feel awful about it. We made a mistake getting involved with each other. I regret it immensely. We don't know what else to do. Let's take a look at some of the comments from Reddit. User Rainfall comments, "You haven't taken full responsibility though. You still refer to your actions as a mistake. You're angry they won't rug sweep and even had the nerve to try and get his ex to fix it. Maybe try actually doing so and apologizing to them and their mother first. Honestly, if I were them, I would cut you both off because of how narcissistic you both are acting." User Formicite comments, "Does your husband honestly think they'll forgive him if he divorces you? What you two did was wrong, and they want their pound of flesh, so to speak. They will definitely not forgive your hubby if you divorce because they won't forget what happened. He messed up and paid the price by being estranged from his own family. And if he thinks that breaking up his new family will fix everything, he is sorely mistaken. If the two of you go through with this, he'll be even worse off. He won't ever be able to regain his old relationship with his children, and he should realize that and do what he can to make the best of this situation now. Hint, it doesn't involve leaving you. So the thing is, like it or not, this is just the consequence of your actions. The children feel this way about you because of what you and your husband did. There's not really a way to control that. You can definitely try to apologize and maybe try actually owning your mistakes, but there's no guarantee any of that will work. You guys made that choice. You guys made that mistake. And the reaction from the kids is in response to that mistake. What's crazy is that this would have been 6 years ago, and we have no way to know what actually ended up happening with this. I do hope that despite everything, the husband didn't end up leaving OP, because then he would be destroying two families trying to save one. And the thing is, I don't think the kids would have been able to forgive him because they're not mad at him for being with OP, they're mad at him for cheating on his wife with OP. And just to further elaborate of what I mean by that is if the husband had broken up with the mother and divorced the proper proceedings and then started dating OP after the divorce was finalized, I don't think the kids would have been as upset about that or upset at all in most cases. The problem is how they got together, not that they are together. So even if the husband did leave OP, that doesn't fix the past mistakes. That doesn't suddenly make the kid's opinion of the husband better. Him destroying both families isn't going to save one of them. And hopefully, 6 years ago, that wasn't the mistake he made.
Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code OZ at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.